Hey, down here. Okay, back again with another live stream, and try again on reinstalling Fedora 28. Well, reinstalling it on a different hard drive, Fedora 28 Server Edition. Let me check my audio and everything over there. Oh yeah, I had trouble every time I start my stream. It starts out bad, and I restart it because I'm afraid it'll just stay bad. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, had to go in, and if I don't go and wait for it to completely finish and then delete that stream, then it'll be that part that I tried to cancel will end up at extra long beginning on my video. So, which it's good that it's a better way to do it, I think, than I don't know. I haven't had that trouble much in the last year, so I can't say it's a better way to do it. Maybe how it's always been, but it waits for, I guess, like a minute to see if your connection comes back. So let's get over here. Let's see. So what I'm going to do, the video I'm making. Okay, now what I'm going to do. Yesterday I tried Fedora 29, and I had one error in one of the group packages I selected, which was Fedora Security Labs. It was called NTOP. The app was missing some dependencies, and I had to do some research to figure it out. A little bit of, well, I recognized the name of the app, and I knew it was, and I went and looked it up, and I knew it had to do with system resource, watching the system resources and stuff. So I ended up finding that it was in the group for Fedora Security Labs. So I took that group out of my selected software. See, in the net install, you can pick your software, and it'll download it and install it for you by groups. And some of them are singles because I saw Firefox all by itself. But and then I went through the whole thing. I mean, it was the whole from start to finish. From putting it, I had some trouble putting it on the USB stick. I really just kind of made a mistake, I think. But from putting it on the USB stick to getting to the final fatal error where it failed was like 3 hours and a half or something. So hopefully it'll go better today. But I'm going back to Fedora 28 because it's been working good. I've got it on my Lenovo Y5 that I'm streaming from. I already had it on the netpromax on the smaller hard drive. But this time I'm not going to get so install happy and try to do so much software. I was just picking everything that I thought. I got the bigger hard drive in it now. Instead of that 20 gig, I got an 80 gig in it. And I just picked everything I thought I might like. And with more stuff, you get more potential for errors. And if anybody knows that, it's me. But I did it anyway. So I went to this screen to show I've already unmounted my Seagate backup drive. If you've ever seen my system there, it's I normally leave it plugged in. I mean, it was mounted, and so I've got my USB stick here. Got it ready. It's got Fedora 29 on it, so I'm going to have to reformat it. Let me get it plugged in. Can't see that thing with all my machines I've got going here, so I've got that laptop. The way I turn it to where I can see it, it really blocks down there. So get that in, and yeah, see now it's showing the Fedora, showing it as it's not saying 20. Oh, yeah, 29 on the end of it. Fedora x86 6429. Fedora S, I guess that's for server. That's just DVD. That's weird, because I know it was a net install because I ran it, and then that's just part of it's a little Windows partition on that little 2 gigabyte Seagate. SanDisk USB stick. Okay, so this is the one I'm going to use. I've already downloaded it. This is the net install. Yeah, it's not. I'm going to open up Fedora Media Writer, and we'll just show it as I go. Making sure everything's okay. Fedora media writers, what they recommend, and nowadays it's the best way to do it. And so now the first thing up at the top, it says it already contains a live system. Do you want to restore it to factory settings? Now I've kind of ranted a little bit about that yesterday. What that means is quite plain simply, reformat the drive. They don't, and I don't know what they're reformatting it to. It doesn't really matter because it's going to reformat it again when you do the installation. It may just be it says restore to in factory settings, so that leads me to believe it's reformatting it to FAT32 or exFAT's what most of them come as now. But that's why I was saying, well, that doesn't make. It's just misleading. It's not simplifying things. It's overcomplicating things to do that. Just tell people what you're really doing. Because most people, especially most people who are going to even try to install Fedora, they're going to, if they don't know the basics, they're going to want to learn it. So anyway, I don't know why I'm ranting. I didn't mean to rant again. I was just trying to explain it. But anyway, reclaim all. Clicked on, do it, and that's what I didn't do the first time, and that's where I messed up. Because see, there's another instance. Well, I guess what it is. When your SD cards it's a 2 gig SD card. Well, the Fedora net install is only 530 megabytes or something like that. Normally the images are bigger, like just barely fit on there, and when I use mate install or something like that. And so it says, oh, you don't have enough space. Do you want to reclaim space? And so that was what I was thinking. Don't do that because one time I did it and it messed me up that time. But anyway, it was just like an extra step you don't have to do. So, but you do when you have plenty of space, because so what it did is it put the Fedora 29. I don't know what it chose and didn't choose, but I looked through the files on there, and it had a folder for the Fedora 29, or actually a partition for the Fedora 29 boot partition and stuff, but it still had the Fedora 28 stuff on there too. And then when I went and tested it before I booted it, it failed. So do this. I don't know if you can say always do this, but it depends on what you've got on your SD. Everything depends on you and what you have on your system and on your SD card. But the one thing about this Fedora Media Writer, when the time it's done, it's going to reformat the whole stick. And so you need a stick that you don't have any data on it. That either if it's a USB stick, or if it's like I use an SD card and a USB adapter a lot, or if you're using an SD card, like laptops usually have, desktops have SD card, drives sometimes too. So anyway, reclaim the space. Has to be restored to its factory settings again instead of just saying reformatted. And I've always said that in all other media writers. It tells you what's going on, and it helps you learn. I mean, sometimes you can learn just by reading the instructions, or what are you going to call this? The output on the pop-up window. And this live system, the live system and all saved data will be deleted. The one that's already on there. That's the live system it's talking about. You don't need to restore the drive if you want to write another live system to it. Do you want to continue? Well, that wasn't true for me yesterday. See, I didn't restore it, and I got it wouldn't boot. Well, it might have booted, but it wouldn't. It got an error. It failed the test, and it most likely would have just happily let you try to do the install and then broke somewhere. I've done it before, so I'm going to hit restore. You got to. And the other thing I don't like about it, it doesn't say, like for instance, if I would have left my my big backup drive plugged in, it's a USB drive, it doesn't say what drive it's doing it to. And so, how do you know? You don't have any way of knowing which drive it's fixing to erase and reformat. But except for the unplug, only plug, and they always recommend that when instructions, only plug in. See, it unmounted it when it did that, but only plug in, other than the little Windows partition, but only plug in the one you're going to write to with this Fedora Media Writer for sure, because you'd be very sorry if you reformatted your backup drive. And that thing did that yesterday. After Used it a little bit. I think I did the same thing. Clicked off the window and then went back, and now the application is acting up badly. So I'm going to go ahead and close this just to make sure the system's not getting. Let me just go over here and see. I may have to. It shows as XFCE App Finder, but I see the icon for, and it says right there, window title Fedora Media Writer. That's weird. That is how I opened it up from App Finder. I wonder, there are some apps that actually, I mean, it opened up just fine, but some apps, well, some of them won't open through App Finder. I love that thing, and it's the only way I can find things quickly or at all sometimes. Because sometimes I don't know, half the time I don't know the name of the application I want, I just know what it does. And so I search, like this one, I searched for Fedora. Of course, it's called Fedora Media Writer, but see if it came back. Yeah, see, it's still not really responding, so I'm just going to have to. That's why I leave the system monitor up all the time. So I'm going to end the process. Now, yesterday I did that and then opened it back up, and it was fine. And I did open it through App Finder. Okay, now there's, okay, so now it's not running. I don't know what the deal is with that. When I first, let's see, what did I have? I don't know if it was Fedora 28. It might have been, actually, I think it might have been Fedora 23. No, it might have been like Fedora 27 or something. It wouldn't run. It kept crashing. I couldn't use it. It was one system that I had just built, and I was trying to use it. Let's see if I can find it now. It might be in System Tools. Oops. That's another reason why I don't like those. I like it at the top like that, much better from the bottom up, like, Windows. But I still don't like that kind of menu too much. I've really gotten so used to having a search to use. There it is right there. Okay. And I had tried all different things. I had decided if you maximize it, it causes that, but really it was just doing it randomly. So, and I did use it twice yesterday, and it did. Okay, so I'm going to do, now it will, again, I'll say, if you click on any of these, it will download it for you automatically and write it to your USB stick once you've got it. If you've got one that's either just formatted FAT32 or make sure it's not well, if it's got Fedora on it, I just went through all that. So probably you're going to want to go, if it asks you if you want to restore it to factory conditions, you're probably going to want to do it, most likely. Okay, then there's custom images, which what I'm going to do, but then if you click those dots, then you get some more options. Fedora Spins and Fedora Labs, everything except for the server stuff, I think, it will download for you. Let's look through and make sure I'm not wrong about that. It's all the different desktops and all the different remixes is what they used to call them. Well, they've always called some of them spins in Fedora, but used to, if I remember right, they used to call the labs and all these here the spins. And now they've changed these to labs and these to spins, which are really just different desktops. And they do have a little bit different software on them too, though. So maybe they just call them that. That's what they want to do. So anyway, whoops, I thought that's so narrow I couldn't get it, and I thought maybe it was to where if you get a hold of it you can drag it. Okay, so custom image, I already showed you the image I'm going to use. It's in my downloads folder. And I want to get Fedora 28 this time, and server net install x86-64. This is 64-bit machine on the netpromax that I'm going to put it on. That's what it is. And now see, if you had more than one drive, you want to make darn sure that you pick the one you want to write to. I don't know why there's an error there. It doesn't do anything. Maybe it's just pointing to it. But so that's good, and it does say what you're writing to it, and it says you will lose the data on this because it's going to reformat it and divide it up in 3 or 4 partitions. That's what it's going to do. All right, so I'm going to write it, and you got to have root privileges. Oops, just hit the wrong key. And doesn't really take too long with this one because it's only what 530, 560 megabytes, whatever. I was just showing it. I could have looked at the size when I was showing it, but I've already closed the file manager now. So yeah, I spent a long time. Well, I spent a long time before I even started yesterday. Oh yeah, I remember what I was doing. I got up at yesterday. I don't know how long it's been now, but I got up at 11 at night, and then I was up all night, really shopping online, and then I started doing the hardware work and putting in the hard drive, and I got all kind of sidetracked with looking at all the hardware and showing it and everything, and spent a couple hours doing that. And then I just, I wanted to go ahead and do the installation. And I was already tired, and I could have quit easily then. I probably should have. And so then I had all that trouble. And I said, before I started, I said, well, this never takes very long, and it usually doesn't. Even this part, if it goes well, doesn't take very long. This and the installation, But famous last words, it took like 3 hours and 30 minutes by the time I got to the point that it completely and utterly failed to work. And it was some strange error that... well, you can just see the previous video. I started to say I'd show you the screenshots of it, but this is almost done. So so I ended up not getting in bed until I had gotten up at 11, and I went 23 hours later after I got up. I went to bed, and I've been going back and forth like that. Stay up too long and then sleep too long. I didn't sleep too long last night, though. I only slept, I counted it 5.5 hours, and I couldn't sleep anymore. I tried. I lay back down, and I got up. All right, now I got to pay attention to this. Don't hit delete download image unless you're probably not done with it. I'm not. I always want to keep them, but maybe I guess everybody may not want to keep them, but you probably want to keep it till you're sure you're done and everything's going to work. Okay, the drive will be resized to a smaller capacity. This is what I didn't read at the beginning, I guess. You may size it back to normal by using Fedora Media Writer. This will remove installation media from your drive. That's that restore to factory. So you could put it back in there when you're done and use it to do that. I just always go in there with Gparted and delete all those partitions and then format it to FAT32 so that I know I've got what I want. So yeah, I didn't read that sentence before, and but yeah, I don't want to delete it. That's a new thing that deletes your original image, or if it's new. If it's not new, I never noticed it because it wasn't read before. But anyway, I just want to close it. It used to say, it always said, do you want to reboot the machine? And I guess, now I say, well, no, I'm not building this to install it on this machine, Forgot building it, you probably don't, most likely you're not going to reformat the machine you're building it on, You might, but, install onto it. But anyway, they don't have that option there now. Okay, so it's not mounted still, but that's fine. I'm going to eject that partition, and then I'll unplug it and plug it back in to mount it because I want to check it over. Okay, now I don't know what I've been putting in. Well, I guess it wasn't my USB sticks; it was my SD card I've been putting in there. I didn't get this. No application available to open it. It should show the file manager, but I'm just going to hit cancel because I guess I just now realized it's just been doing that lately. And I didn't show. See, now it shows Fedora S DVD x86 6428, and then the U3 system. And so we'll go over here and look in Crusader. So there's that U3 system. See, it's just got a zip file that used to launch in Windows XP, and then an executable. The executable would launch. Autorun INF would run that executable, and then there's some little portable applications in there that I never had any use for. But I don't care what you do to that drive, you cannot delete that. You can. I've successfully deleted it and Gparted, I think, and some other applications, but it comes right back. It says it deleted it, but it comes back when you reset the drive. You know, when you unplug it, you know, unmount it, unplug it, and plug it back in, remount it. And so here's the Fedora main. Yeah, this is the main part with the. Let's see. Hey, ISO Linux. See, that's got the boot images and stuff in there, but it's not. That's not all there is to it. Oops, wrong one. Okay, that was it. When I clicked on the U3, it actually gave me. Oh, there's 2 folders there. I guess it automatically mounted that one, and I clicked on the U3. So yeah, that's not the same partition. That's the. I don't know which one they call it. Let's see. 1 gigabyte. Boot ext4 boot partition, which is probably might be what that one is. Let's see. No, that would be much bigger than 1 gigabyte. Oh yeah, 1 gigabyte. Yeah, that might be it. And then 583 megabytes. This is. Oh, that one's it. Okay, then let's go to that 1 gigabyte. Oh, okay. Now it's got Grub on it. I hadn't mounted it yet. Grub 2. Can't go in there. EFI, that's for that systems that have that kind of BIOS or non-BIOS, Windows BIOS I always call it. Yeah. Whoops. Went too far. Oh. It gets a little confusing sometimes because that's actually the boot partition of my system. That's not. See, they're not in like any certain order or anything. This one is the one I was just looking at with the IMG images, and then that one that says Anaconda. It's a VFAT, FAT32. That's just an EFI boot partition, and then on the USB stick. Now I'm getting straightened up. Now we're another Anaconda. This is HFSP S Plus. I don't even know what that one is. That's a new file system. Oops, I didn't mean to open it up. Dummy kernel for booting. Okay. Discard. I didn't want to do anything to that. It opened up a. Okay, and then see that's 9.1 megabytes. That's 19 megabytes. 50. That is my root partition on my system, and that is my home partition on my system. So you've got. Okay, so it's 583 megabytes of, you know, the images that it actually boots to and everything. You know, mostly those. I mean, it all, of course, works together. But anyway, this is what you got now. You got the Fedora, the main, the Anaconda, the U3. That's for the USB stick. So you get three partitions for the Fedora. That's what I wanted to show you. You get 3 partitions for the Fedora. Live system, live net install system, and I think it's pretty. I think it's the same amount of partitions for whichever one you use. You know, like MAID or Genome 3 or whatever. Yeah, XFCE. Those are, MAID and XFCE is the 2 that I use. Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to videos so that if I want to, when I open it, I'll automatically see how my video is doing without even thinking about it. All right, I'm going to close that because you don't want that to be accessing this while you're unmounted. And I'm going to try and mount this one, see if it unmounts the rest of them. Nope. So you're just going to have, you may have to do them all one at a time. Some of them say eject, some of them say unmount. I don't know why. It sees them somehow differently. Okay, I'm going to get it out of there. It seems like a, you know, like throw of the dice as to what it will say on Fedora. It's been doing that for many, I don't know how long. I guess I started Fedora in 2005 and 2005. I guess ever since, I don't remember not doing that. So anyway, let me get over here on camera 2. See if it's working. Yesterday it wasn't working. Yeah, there's my hand. I'm going to plug this in to the netpromax and boot it up. And then once I get it booted up, I'll edit the grub boot menu so that I can do VNC remote desktop and show, really show a nice video of the install process. Let me get it. I moved the netpromax. I meant to show it. Well, I guess I still can. I'll show it before yeah, that's zoomed in so you can see the boot screen, but it doesn't have to, stay zoomed in all the time. I just thought it'd be kind of neat to do that, so let's just do it. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I'll need to. The more fancy I get, it's not fancy, but the more fancy I get, the more mistakes I'm inclined to make. Okay, so there we go. Oh, it's so dark. Well, I can fix that. I darken it so that the brightness of the screen won't ruin everything. There it is. You can see the emblem over here now. Just the way the light is in the room, it's not showing up too good. But trying to think of, well, when I get ready to show the screen, I'll have to switch. But yeah, I'll leave it like that. The less bright the screen is, the better it shows that machine. Anyway, I put it back. I was just I just thought, well, I put it back in the spot where I used to always have my IBM server, where I'm going to have something again permanently, because I didn't want to leave it on my work table over here and then have to roll that heavy thing. That was kind of heavy. Have to roll it around all the time till I was done with it. So yeah, and I shouldn't have left that like that, but I'm done. So that'll overwork my machine. So now go back to making the screen look better. It's pretty cool how you can do that remotely zoom in and do all that stuff. That's IP webcam is what I use to stream that's the app that does that. What it does is just set up a VLC stream for you automatically in a GUI. I tried to figure out if I could do it on the phone myself some other way without having to use the overhead of an app, but I couldn't figure it out. So on an Android, now I used to do it within VLC itself, and that's not in the Android version of VLC. I have it on there, and it's not in there, period. And so an app or doing it in the, I mean, you can put a terminal on an Android, but I'm not good at that stuff. So I remember that's not too hard. I've seen people do it in videos, just starting up a VLC stream in the terminal. If I'd learn how to do that and then do it on the Android, it wouldn't have any overhead. It might be good. But anyway, okay, now I'm going to switch to the netpromax on the KVM switch and boot it up. Now it's going to make noise. They always want to make noise just to aggravate me. My red black BIOS starts at my Fedora 14 system. I'm running it. I let it run all night, and it was cold, really cold last night. It was 32 this morning, about 9 or 10 o'clock. So I don't know. I imagine it was around that last night. Actually, I guess it was earlier than that because I got up at 3:30. So it was after the sun came up. It's just now warming up. It's can't see the time anywhere. Oh, it's 12:41 p.m. now. It's just now 45 according to the weather out there. Okay, so We're getting a little, just a cursor. Could be a bad thing. Oh, it's probably the hard. I'm going to have to. It's the hard drive because it got a failed install on it, so that it's not, no boot grub or anything showing up. I think you hit delete to get into the. This machine never sees the USB stick until you tell it to boot to the USB stick in the BIOS. So I thought it used to. But you got to go on the BIOS, and you don't just go to boot priority. It has I've got removable drive at the top, and then CD and DVD, and then the hard drive. That doesn't work. Not with these USB sticks, and I don't know if it does with the SD cards or not. I'm pretty sure the SD card in the USB adapter, there's no SD drive on it. But the SanDisk cruiser pattern, these USB stick shows up as a hard drive in this thing, and that's very unusual. I don't remember any other BIOS doing it, so I put it on the top. But it also shows up as a CD-ROM drive. I don't know which one is the one it's actually booting from. I just do them both to make sure it works. I think I played with it before to try to figure it out. And force BIOS. I just was looking at that. Yeah, wait for F1 if error, delete. Okay. So now we're going to save and exit, and it should be fine. At least but if you take it back out, it'll do it again. It'll go away. It'll be fine as long as you leave it in there, and if you reboot it or anything, it'll still see it. So yeah, I've got to pay attention to excuse me, what to do here. Okay. Oh yeah, I want to test this media first. It always defaults to test the media. Now I'm going to do that. So I'll use the arrow keys to get off of, up and down to get off of it, and then I remembered, no, I want to do that. So I hit enter. I forget to say those sort of things. If, somebody's watching this to learn, then I need to explain a little more probably. Of course, maybe you can hear me hitting. I don't know why I hit the keys that hard. I don't really realize I'm hitting them pretty hard until I watch a video when I hear myself clanking on that keyboard. And you may get the clue just from the sounds. But I failed to start media check on SDB1. Well, that would be the USB stick. You'll see a lot of errors in these live boot menus, no matter what you're doing, like error IO dev SR1. Well, that's the DVD drive. It's empty, For a while, I forget. Sometimes I'll go back and I'm like, what in the world? What is that error? Why do I keep seeing that error? And I finally started remembering. I know I figured that out many years ago. But I'll go through phases of doing a lot of this stuff, reformatting and doing all that, and then I might go a year or two of not doing it at all. Once I get everything the way I want it. Well, it's not just because I get tired of doing it or everything's the way I want it. It's really my health. When I feel bad, I just can't think to do this stuff. So I will. It was already done. I didn't realize it. When I feel bad, I will not do it. Unless I just get a broken system and I'm in trouble. So what happened is it failed again, just like yesterday. Only this time I did everything, what seemed to be right. The way I did it just now is the way I did it yesterday when it worked. So, I had ever since they came in with that, reset to factory settings, I've had it fail on me before. I'm starting to come back to me now. And I got to the point where I just got in the habit of just reformatting the USB stick with Gparted and then write the image, and then I didn't have any trouble. And I think I'm going to do that again. May not be, I could just do it again and it would work, but what if it doesn't? It'll be really aggravating, but also it'll be a nice demonstration of another way to do it. But it just says, the funny thing is, okay, it was checking and it got only, that's why it was so fast. It only got to 4.8% and then it errored out. And it said it failed right there. I had such small text. Error code. It just tells the error code. Bunch of long stuff, you know. CD check failed. It thinks it's a CD in one spot. So anyway, but a lot of times they will do that. Well, that might be the way Fedora even does it. I remember some, you know, distros would actually, in order to make it, it was easier to make it bootable and to make it work by just basically faking it being a CD, you know, like telling the system that, no, this is not a USB, it's really a CD. So now you'll like it, you know. And I guess the age of the system might be one reason why it would do that, you know, like some systems, for instance, can't boot to a USB because there were no such thing as USB drives, you know, when they were built. But this is not that old, but trying to read some of that. Unmount, run, install, repo failed abnormally. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong, but system halted, failed. So let me get it out of there. Hard shut it down. There we go. All right, now get that stick. Yeah, this one has USB plugs. The front ones are on the right front side, which I can get to them, but it's a little tight in there where I have it. But get back. Back to my system. Go back to the desktop. I'm gonna leave that camera like it is. It takes a bit to set it up, so no sense in, you know, jumping back and forth. That's why I didn't try to make the wide angle view again. Okay, I'm gonna put it back in there. Normally, well, like I said, well, I say normally, but lately, since let's see, I don't really remember with Fedora 27, but since Fedora 28 came out, I haven't had these kind of problems. You know, getting a media writer to do it for me. So Gparted is what I'm going to open up. Oops, typed it wrong. And once that gets all opened up, I will, first I'll have to unmount it. And see, that's my hard drive, so we don't want to do anything to that. It's dev SDB. Now, it only shows one partition. It might be in an LVM. You know, I saw the 3 partitions and all that. Maybe it does it in an LVM. Or that, well, they were there. See, that's one reason why I looked through it, so I have some idea of what's going on. But all it's showing now is just that. And it's just showing it. Is it not mounted? It should be. Cause see, that's mounted. Information it says not mounted. Okay, then I won't worry about unmounting it. I started to unmount it, but then I got to thinking, no, I don't think Gparted will even see it if I do that. I was thinking, just make sure they're not mounted. If you're going to work on a partition, make sure it's not mounted. So, which shows not to have anything on it. How did that happen? Format to, well, I'm going to go ahead and format it to FAT32. That's really weird. Well, I'm just wondering, should I? So that's just its label, I guess. But it said it was done. It said, you know, everything showed to be okay, unless I was skipping, wasn't paying enough attention. I've done it so many years. Sometimes I forget to pay attention to the readouts, you know. But I think I paid up some attention to it. There should be. I looked at all those files, and I was careful. I didn't just yank them out. Of course, you wouldn't lose all your files just by yanking one out without unmounting it. But I carefully unmounted everything before I unplugged it. I'm going to go ahead and take it out and put it back in and see if anything changes. Looks okay. And that is kind of odd that it says no application found. That's not what you usually get. You usually get, what it's been doing, this system has been just automatically opening them up in the file manager, KJ, the default file manager, KJ. Okay, and let's go to it again, see if it's in the, yeah. Well, I'm going to format it to FAT32 because that seems to always work. If the drive you plug in is FAT32, then I don't usually see errors. Okay, so you have STB, so make sure it's not your hard drive, because you can destroy. This will be erasing and just, you know, everything on it, and then making it just an empty FAT32 file system. Apply operations. Are you sure? Data loss. Error occurred. Okay. Something has gone wrong. Okay, the calibration's fine. Clear all data was fine. Create the partition is not fine. And make FAT32 dev STB. Suddenly my unable to resource busy. Unallocated, so it accidentally deleted everything. And it's not mounted or anything. Well, let's try it again. I'll have to, let's reset it and try it again. Reset it means unplug it and plug it back in. But first I'm going to unmount it. This time, I didn't see that safely removed drive. So sometimes it has both, and sometimes it only has eject or unmount. See, it doesn't say unmount. So I always choose safely remove drive when I see that. Because I believe there is a difference between eject and safely remove. Okay, so there's no partition on it now, so it shouldn't, you know, it can't mount anything. I gotta get me a cough drop. I think it'll help. Trying to, okay, I've got two bags, and I think one of them works a little better than the other, and I was trying to see which one was which. Because I did this the last few days, last few times I've been on here working. I got that itch in my throat that won't go away, and I'm not, well, I am draining. Maybe I'm draining more than I realize, but this helps the drainage a little bit too. That's the other thing. One of these helps the drainage more than the other. Okay, one more time. I think this this USB stick decided to be contrary today. I sure hope it ain't wore out. It's pretty old. But I've had them act crazy and then go back to working again. So unallocated. Now let's see if we can new. Oh, partition table. So it just completely broke it. But that's okay because you can create a partition table. And MS-DOS, make sure you're on the right drive. That's the, for Linux and Windows, you want to use the MS-DOS. Now, there's lots of other options. If you had some other sort of system, like BSD is one of them, in that list, you might need Sun, PC98. Let's see. I was thinking there would be a Mac one in there. Yeah, right above Mac. Okay. Doesn't have an apply button. I would think it would have an apply button. I was coughing my head off and I don't know. Did it do something? Well, let's see if it'll allow me to add a new partition now. Yep. But I don't want the default they always have at ext4. You want FAT32 for one of these USB sticks. And I'm going to leave it. Well, I don't know if you really need that 1 megabyte at the beginning, but let's leave it because that's where they usually put a boot partition on hard drives, and maybe that's what was wrong with it. It didn't have that even. I always forget if that's actually necessary or if it will cause a problem if you leave it. But I'm going to leave it because I think it could possibly need it with this Fedora setup. And there might be an instance where it actually throws everything off, and it does, like the ISO writer you're trying to use doesn't know what to do with that. And primary partition is what you want. No free space at the end. And I don't need to put a label in there. Fedora or Media Writer will put the label on it. Yeah, that Fedora 28. Okay, now I'm going to do it. See if it works. Okay, successful. So I'm not going to go through all that, but it did it. Well, let's see. I don't, know what every little thing is, and so I don't. It does help you though when you have an error. It might give you a clue as to what's going wrong, even if you don't understand every bit of it. New partition, make fs. That's the command. By the way, that's the command to do it in the command line. And so it did it, and I don't see any errors or anything. Now with hard drives, you always have to reset them. With well, actually, I guess I do. I was going to say I don't have to reset it, but I don't know if Media Writer will see it unless I go ahead and unplug it and plug it back in. But I'll go ahead and eject that. Yeah, if you're formatting a USB stick, oh look, it was something wrong with it. That's what it was, why it was doing that. There was something wrong with it all this time. Fedora Media Writer does something funky to them. So to get them, that's what you got to do to get them back to working properly again. Now I bet it'll work. It even screws up its own writing process. So really, that restore to factory defaults, it doesn't work all the time. Yesterday, it worked. Well, the second time I tried it. Well, the first time I didn't run it. The second time I did, and it worked. And then today, well, you saw what I just did, and didn't work. So, yeah. So anyway, yeah, things that should usually are simple can turn into a lot of research, or go fall back and try to remember your years of experience. In my case, So, luckily I started to remember. Let's see. Now, I don't really think opening that from, how I open it doesn't matter. I'm almost certain. So, if there's a problem, it usually just the app won't open. There's a few apps, I can't remember one of them right now, that just flat won't open from FC App Finder or Application Finder. So I'm going to just click the custom image. That's what I want. Now, and I do know that this is a good image. I tested it, you know, when I first downloaded it. I ran the commands to check it and all that stuff. Unless it got corrupted or something somehow, but I don't think so. I could check it again. Well, it's about the same amount of time either way, I think. So if it doesn't work, then I'll have to. Okay, so yes, we're going to the SanDisk. It's going to erase all data. Now, I always click on that to make sure there are no other selectable drives. Especially, I've learned because of my SanDisk drive, sometimes they would by default pick that little bitty tiny partition, and then it fails on you. And they both say SanDisk cruiser pattern. The only way you can tell is see if there's more than one in the list. Okay, so write to disk. Yep, okay, I was going to say, did I type it right? Trying to think if I could show, what was it I was thinking about showing? By the time I figure out what it was I was thinking about showing, I will we'll be done. Whenever you do the longer ones that are, you know, like 2 gig or even some of them are even 3 gig, you got enough time to go do some other stuff. I mean, me, I can't sit there and wait. This is about as long of a one I can sit and wait on. And if I were just sitting here, I probably wouldn't. Since I'm talking and all that stuff, I can think of making a video. I can think of some stuff to say. Sometimes it's related. And other times I just babble because I don't know what to say. Like right now. I've been making a lot of videos lately, and the more videos I make, the more I run out of things to say. Done said it all. Oh, I can tell you one thing. If your mom tells you that her light switch went out, and you need to, she wants you to replace it, check and see if the bulbs have burned out first. I fiddled around, and well, I knew I had. She asked me if I had some in the garage, and I said, yeah, I probably do. And then I kept forgetting to go look. Finally, the other day I went and looked, and I only had one, and it was used, and I didn't really want to put a used one in there. So we looked online yesterday, during the night, actually. Found a real good price. I went ahead and bought 2, so I'd have one to use and one extra. I like to have things like that in stock. And there's like $247 or something like that each. Ordered them, and then I realized, oh, those are going to be a week to 2 weeks before they get here. She don't want to go without it. So I went in there and finally investigated. I thought, it hit me. Why, have you checked the light bulbs? And so I checked them. They were both burned out. She'd probably had one burned out for a long time, and then the other one burned out. Okay, so and it didn't click. I said, what makes you think the light switch is bad? She said, well, it's not. Can't feel it. It's not doing anything. She didn't say it didn't click, but. And I said, well, most of the newer switches don't do that anymore. They always all used to have a clicking feeling and sound. They were kind of hard to push, and they would click. And this one just so happens has a little light, really dim light that when it's off, I thought it was on when the thing was on, but it's when the switch is off, the light comes on. And that's, I guess, to help you find the switch. It just occurred to me maybe it's wired backwards, but anyway, that's what it does. You might be able to wire it the opposite and have it come on when the light's on, But it does help you at night to find the light switch. So I think that's its purpose. Anyway, it was daytime still, so it was really dim, but I held my hand over and I thought, well, that switch is probably not bad. The light's still working. And so I got the light bulbs out of there and put them in my lamp in my room, and sure enough, they were both dead. So put new bulbs in it, and I was done. But I got 2 light switches on the way. All right, back to work. See, now that story took longer than we had time to wait. Your drive will be resized to smaller capacity. You may resize it back to normal using Fedora Media Writer. Yeah, I won't try that again. This will remove the installation media. Yeah, that didn't work. Okay, so of course, yeah, you still have. Oh, when I did that, it changed what was in the screen. I hadn't noticed that before. But anyway, that's what I want, is write to disk. That's weird. It jumped. It scared me. I saw it. I was looking at it this time. I know I do it every time, and the last time I didn't notice that. I must have been looking at down or something. Yeah, so it would take like a minute or 2 less time if I weren't telling stories. Once you start a good story, you got to finish it. You don't want to leave everybody hanging. This Lenovo i5 that I use all the time, it's okay. It's a quad core with 4 gig of RAM, 2.5 gigahertz, but it has abysmal video memory. It's 256 on board. Just one PCI slot. It's a, I guess you'd say, enterprise machine or something. Oddly enough, they cost like $1,100 to $1,300 when they were new. It was given to me, when it was old and fairly old, not that old. It's just the operating system broke on it, and they thought they'd rather buy a new one at that company, my friend's company, than pay a bunch of money. You spend more money for a company, you're going to end up spending more money getting them fixed than buying another machine. Well, it's that way for most everybody anymore. That's why you don't. Why there was such a, especially when the laptops got cheap, such a, basically a crash in the computer repair business, because when laptops got really cheap and they became the more popular thing than desktops. But anyway, it's not meant to be like a home computer that plays videos or games or anything. It's meant to be used in a business office where, the processing is good and the memory is good, but the video's not important, So anyway, it locks up on me all the time when I'm doing anything that involves video. It's been doing that lately. And it doesn't have to be watching videos. Oddly enough, just surfing the internet, like the 2 sites that it locked up after several hours, admittedly, but Amazon and Walmart, all the extra extraneous crap that's on those sites, made the machine lock up. But it locked up this morning, and I hadn't been doing that. I actually rebooted it twice today already to make sure it didn't lock up, and it locked up once on me when, I was on a website, but I was just looking for specs on a server, and I clicked on a button, and I don't know if it was related or not, but I clicked on a button and opened a little pop-up window, and it wanted you to sign up with your email to download a PDF or something, and I didn't want to do it. Well, I tried to click cancel, and nothing happened. I had to hard shut down the machine. I didn't have it. Didn't matter. The keyboard was Control-Alt-Delete, didn't do anything. Nothing did anything. So I want a server. I want a really powerful. I want a one with 2 6-core processors and like at least 64 gig of RAM, because that would be a nice change from 4 gig, right? You will be your drive will be, but I can't run it in here. I couldn't stand it. I'd have to have it out in the garage. And then everything would have to be on virtual machines then. And I'd probably be a lot of things I wouldn't like about that. Okay, I've already read all that. So it's done. I don't want to delete the downloaded image. Close. So, didn't mount it. Yeah, let's go ahead and look it over again. I'm going to eject it. I'm usually pretty good at, like when I unplug. I did it again. Yeah, it's something to do with the way the Fedora writing makes its partitions, makes it. Let's look at it by double clicking on it and opening it this way and see what happens. Maybe it'll be a little easier to. All I want to do is just kind of see what files are on there. Yeah, you don't see anything but just this main partition and my U3, the thing that I can't delete. So in order to see those other ones, you have to go into some other file manager that can see them, like Crusader. I was going to say I'm not going to do it, but yeah, let's do it. Always do it, so that doesn't have anything to do. It's not breaking anything, I know that. I want to make sure they're all there. So the U3, that's my boot partition. Okay, now that's the one we were just looking at. We just looked at them a while ago. Now the 9 megabyte EFI stuff on it. 19 megabyte, yeah, with some more EFI and then that stuff. Oh, that's the grub. That's the grub on it. Okay, and so that's it. Let's go back to videos. And even though you get out of it, Crusader tends to hang on to drives that you've mounted in there, that you've used. See, I have auto mount turned on in Crusader, so when you just click on them, it mounts them most of the time. So let's. That's kind of the main one. It says safely remove drive. Unable is mounted. What dev SDB3 is mounted? Let's see if it's that one. This one. Unmount. It must be those. Unmount. It still did it, even though it said it couldn't. So you see, there's actually a better order to do it in. If you knew what order that was. Okay, now let me get back on my camera. I may have to take a break. You know what? Let's see. I need a break really bad. So I'm going to take it now before I start my installation because it's going to be a while. So I hate to do that, but all right, so I'm going to go take my break and then I'll come back and start the installation. And I guess this video, well, this video will be the fails and then the hopefully successful write, on the on the USB stick, and then the next one will be the installation. All right.